Stand here on the morning of August 24th, 79 AD, and you would never know the world was about to end. The streets are alive. The bakeries are warm. Children are laughing in the courtyards. Merchants are stacking fresh figs in the market. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks. A woman hangs laundry from a second-floor window. The smell of bread and sea salt drifts through the air. Behind it all, towering over the city like a sleeping giant, Mount Vesuvius stands calm and green against a perfect blue sky. No one in Pompeii knows they have less than 24 hours to live.
Pompeii was not a forgotten backwater. It was a thriving Roman city of nearly 20,000 people, a place of wealth, culture, beauty, and ambition. It had grand temples, a full amphitheater, sophisticated plumbing, and streets worn smooth by generations of feet. It was, by every measure, a city fully alive. And then, in less than 18 hours, it was gone. What makes Pompeii unlike any other lost city in history is not just its destruction. It is the preservation. The volcanic ash that buried it also froze it perfectly, mercilessly, at the exact moment of its death. The bread still in the ovens, the graffiti still on the walls.
The bodies still in their final positions. Pompeii did not just die, it was paused. And today, we are going to walk through its final 24 hours, street by street, hour by hour, and see this extraordinary city exactly as it was on the last morning it ever knew. It is just after sunrise. The sky above Pompeii is pale gold, and the streets are already beginning to stir. The city runs on rhythm. Bakers have been at work since before midnight. The evidence is still there today. Carbonized loaves found in the ovens of Pompeii's 18 known bakeries, some still perfectly round, still bearing the marks where they were divided into portions.
The streets of Pompeii are narrow and paved with massive, irregular stones that still show the deep ruts carved by thousands of Roman cartwheels. Raised stepping stones allow pedestrians to cross without touching the street, which doubles, frankly, as a sewer. By dawn, the fountains are already flowing. Pompeii had an impressive water distribution system, fed by the Aqua Augusta aqueduct, with public fountains positioned throughout the city so that no resident ever walked more than 80 meters to fresh water. At the Forum, the political and commercial heart of the city, the first vendors are setting up their stalls. Pompeii's Forum was not just a marketplace, it was a statement of Roman power. Flanked by colonnades, temples, and administrative buildings, it was designed to make you feel small in the best possible way.
By mid-morning, Pompeii is fully alive. The Thermopolia, Pompeii's version of a fast food counter, are doing brisk business. Archaeologists have identified over 80 of them across the city. They are built into the street-facing walls of buildings, with large clay pots sunk into stone counters, keeping food warm throughout the day. Stews, lentils, wine, and bread, the working citizens' lunch. Pompeii's streets are vivid with color and noise. The walls of buildings are covered in painted advertisements, political slogans, and graffiti. Election notices urge citizens to vote for local candidates. Tavern owners advertise their wine. Someone has scrawled a crude joke near the entrance to a bathhouse.
The city's social life revolves around its baths, and Pompeii has several. The Stabian baths, the oldest in the city, are already busy by mid-morning. Romans did not simply bathe here. They socialized, conducted business, exercised, and gossiped. The baths were as much a community center as a place of hygiene. Nearby, the city's grand amphitheater, built in 70 BC, one of the oldest surviving Roman amphitheaters in the world, sits quiet this morning. But its walls still bear the scars of a riot that broke out here 16 years earlier, a brawl between Pompeians and visitors from the neighboring town of Nuceria that grew so violent the Roman Senate banned gladiatorial games in Pompeii for 10 years.
It is now early afternoon, and something is wrong. The earth has been uneasy for days. Minor tremors have been rattling dishes and cracking plaster across the region. This is not unusual. The area around Vesuvius sits on one of the most geologically active zones in Europe, and earthquakes are a familiar inconvenience. Pompeii itself was badly damaged by a major earthquake just 17 years earlier in 62 AD, and much of the city is still being rebuilt. But today, the tremors are different, more frequent, more insistent. There is another sign, one that the people of Pompeii likely noticed but could not interpret. The water has stopped. The fountains, which run continuously from the pressurized aqueduct system, have gone dry. Deep underground, the geological upheaval has ruptured the water supply.
Vesuvius, meanwhile, has begun to behave strangely. A thin column of steam and ash has been rising from its summit since morning, but it is only now, as the afternoon light falls across the mountain, that anyone begins to watch it with concern. The Roman writer Pliny the Younger was staying with his uncle, Pliny the Elder, at Misenum, across the Bay of Naples, on this exact day. He would later write the only surviving eyewitness account of the eruption in letters to the historian Tacitus. He described the cloud above Vesuvius as resembling a pine tree, a tall trunk rising straight up before spreading outward in branches. It is one of the most precise and scientifically accurate descriptions of a volcanic eruption ever recorded in ancient history.
At approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Vesuvius explodes. The force of the eruption is difficult to comprehend. Modern volcanologists estimate it was equivalent to 100,000 atomic bombs detonating simultaneously. The eruption column, a pillar of superheated gas, ash, and rock, blasts 30 kilometers into the sky in minutes. The sky over Pompeii turns dark. Pumice stones, some the size of a fist, begin raining down on the city. They are hot, but not immediately lethal. In the first hours of the eruption, many Pompeians make a critical and fatal decision. They stay.
The pumice is loud. It is terrifying. But the city's buildings, with their thick stone walls and tile roofs, offer some protection. Some residents shelter in place, pulling cushions over their heads, as Pliny the Younger himself describes doing at Misenum. Others gather their valuables and attempt to flee. Archaeological evidence shows that many people made it out. The roads leading from Pompeii were found with relatively few bodies. Those who left early survived. Those who stayed did not.
By evening, the accumulation of ash and pumice on Pompeii's rooftops has become catastrophic. The weight is enormous. Roofs begin to collapse. Those sheltering inside buildings are crushed or buried. The air is thick with sulfurous gas and fine ash particles that make breathing agonizing. The sky is completely black, not the darkness of night, but the total darkness of obliteration. And then, in the early hours of August 25th, the eruption enters its most deadly phase.
Pyroclastic surges, superheated avalanches of gas, ash, and rock, moving at hundreds of kilometers per hour, at temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Celsius. There is no outrunning them. There is no shelter from them. They reach Pompeii in waves, and the city, and everyone still in it, dies almost instantaneously. The famous casts of Pompeii's victims, made by pouring plaster into the voids left by decomposed bodies in the hardened ash, capture the moment of death with devastating intimacy. A man shielding his face, a family huddled together, a dog still chained to its post, twisting in its final moments. They are not ruins. They are memories, frozen in stone.
Pompeii was buried under 4 to 6 meters of volcanic material, and then it was forgotten. For nearly 1,700 years, the city lay silent beneath the earth, until construction workers accidentally broke through its ceiling in 1748, and the modern world got its first glimpse of the ancient one. What they found was not a ruin. It was a snapshot, a city caught mid-sentence, mid-life, and preserved with a fidelity that no historian, no artist, no storyteller could ever have manufactured. The bread in the ovens, the wine in the jugs, the names scratched into the walls, the faces of the dead. Pompeii does not teach us about the past. It shows us that the past was real, that the people who lived here were not so different from us. They loved their city. They built their lives. They woke up on the morning of August 24th and made plans for tomorrow. They just never got to keep them. If this journey through history moved you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. And tell us in the comments, which lost city or forgotten civilization do you want us to reconstruct next?